Good morning, guys, and welcome to Leetspeak 2014, or should I say Glenspeak? All right, yeah, the Swedes and the people from Gothenburg got that one. So how are you doing this fine morning? Yeah, you're still asleep, right? Come on, how are you doing this morning? Yeah, don't make me stand you all up and do exercises and stuff. So, my name is Martin. I work at Keynote 37. I'm a software mentor, general loudmouth, and also organizer for this conference this year. This is the third year we do Leetspeak. How many of you were here for Leetspeak, or how many of you were in Stockholm for Leetspeak last year? All right, so quite a few. Last year, I talked about how it takes 3 times to find out if you like something or not. First, you do it to get over the fear. The second time you do it, you learn to do it properly. And the third time you do it, you find out if you actually like it or not. And you guys may think this is the third Leetspeak. But I'll let you all in a little secret. This is actually the fourth Leetspeak. Because Leetspeak started way back in 2011. Back then, we didn't even call it Leetspeak. It was called Knowledge Sharing Day. And the seed for Knowledge Sharing Day was planted all the way back in 2010. When Keynote 37 decided to go to one of the bigger conferences, we were there as exhibitors, and everybody that worked at the company went as attendees. And afterwards, when we were done with the conference, as with everything we do, we had a retrospective to reflect over how it went and what we learned, what we could do better for next year. And what we learned from that retrospective was, while we had fun, we created a general ruckus. We met a lot of people. We didn't really learn all that many new things, or at least not the things we wanted to learn. And why did we go to the conference? Well, our prime objective of going to the conference was to learn. So, this was the seed that sparked the idea of creating something of our own. We rented a conference hall in Lund and invited speakers that spoke on topics that we actually wanted to learn about. But back then, it was an internal thing. You had to work at Keynote 37 to be able to attend. But one of our main values is to share knowledge. So it wouldn't really be fair to keep it to ourselves. We had to open it up to the public. So in 2012, we decided to take it public. We didn't think it would be a big thing, so we only had a couple of seats released to the public. But when we saw how well the tickets sold, we upgraded the venue and released a couple of more tickets. And that first Leetspeak was a great success. A lot of cool things happened at that conference. One thing which I in particular remember is that one of the speakers launched his iPad across the entire bar. Now, I won't out who that person is on stage, but if you want to know, come ask me later. I'll gladly tell you. And this was the year we got over the fear of doing it. In 2013, we took Leetspeak to Stockholm, and it got a wonderful reception. This was the year we trended on Swedish Twitter. We were almost as popular as Zlatan, which in itself is an achievement. This is when we did it properly. And this year, third official Leetspeak year, we're in Gothenburg. And it's wonderful. I mean, I love the city, I love the people, I love the music scene, and of course I love the Gothenburg humor. So for me, coming to Gothenburg, it's awesome. And this is the biggest Leetspeak so far. We've sold 380 tickets. There's a lot of people coming here, and we have a fantastic venue, which I'm really happy about. So why are we in Gothenburg? What happened? Well, as some of you may know, we couldn't really decide where to have the conference. So what we did is we asked you guys, we asked the community, where do you want us to put Leetspeak? Community vote won by a landslide. It said Gothenburg. I've been told that even people from Stockholm voted for Gothenburg. That tells us something. There's going to be a lot of cool stuff happening this year. A lot of cool stories are going to be made. This is going to be a part of history. And this is also the year we're going to decide if we like it or not. But honestly, I think we already know the answer to that question. And over the years, while doing Leetspeak, we've learned many things. And we've improved and adapted the conference to make it a better experience for everyone. We have changed many details, we've experimented with new concepts, but most importantly, we've fought for the right to keep knowledge easily accessible. This is something that is hard-coded into the Leetspeak DNA. Knowledge should be free. And when we say free, I mean free as in easily accessible. And in order to cater to those two things, we do two things year after year after year. One is we always place this conference on a Saturday. Why? Well, you shouldn't have permission to learn. Anybody that wants to come here should be able to come here. You don't have to take time off from work. There's nothing else in your way. You just have to invest your own free time. The second thing is, we do it basically for free. I mean, we charge a small symbolic sum just to make you think twice before you buy your ticket. And the reasoning behind this is that everybody should be able to afford Leetspeak. Doesn't matter if you're a student, freelancer, or maybe even unemployed. You should still have access to knowledge and be able to come here and learn today. Now, of course, making it like this attracts a special crowd of people. People who care, people who are willing to invest their own free time to further their knowledge. It's people like you guys. People who want to become better at their craft. This is also why we aim to have sessions that are a bit more advanced, a bit more challenging for the intellects. Sessions that inspire and make you think. Now, why is this important? You know, I'm guessing most of you're here, so you actually like to learn. But why is this so important for us as professionals? Well, I'm going to talk a little bit about learning models. So this is one of the most common ones and also my favorite one, the Dreyfus skill acquisition model. It's a 5-step model. And the first step is the novice step. When you're a novice, you have rigid adherence to taught rules and plans. You don't really exercise discretionary judgment, so you need checklists, you follow things. Once you get past that stage, you become what's called an advanced beginner. Advanced beginners, they have limited situational perception. They treat all aspects of their work as equally important, and they work on them separately. And then something happens. You become competent. When you're competent, you're able to cope with crowdedness. That means you can do multiple activities, you can accumulate information, and you have some perception of how the things you do relate to the goals you're trying to reach. You deliberately plan your work, and you can formulate routines. and then you become proficient. People are proficient, have a holistic view of the situation. They understand the bigger picture. They can prioritize importance of different aspects, and they can also perceive deviations from the normal, so you can see when something's not quite right. Proficient people still employ maxims and guidelines, and then they can adapt those guides to the situation at hand. And once you transcend that step, you become an expert. Somebody that is an expert transcends the reliance on rules, guidelines, and maxims. They have an intuitive grasp based on deep, tested knowledge and understanding of what they're doing. They have a vision of what's possible and what's not. They say, we can do this, but we can't do that. And when they're faced with new problems, new challenges, they can use analytical approaches to figure out new ways to solve those things. Now, why is this important? Well, when you're in different levels in this model, you need different things to learn. You also have a different attitude towards learning. So, when you're a novice or advanced beginner, you're what I call an enthusiastic beginner. These people, they're hopeful, they're curious, optimistic, eager, very enthusiastic. But they're also inexperienced. They're unskilled. These people, they need practice. You just need to go out there and do things. When you become competent, something happens to your attitude. You drop a notch. You become what's called a disillusioned learner. Disillusioned learners, they're overwhelmed, confused, sometimes demotivated, demoralized, can act frustrated. But these people have flashes of competence. They can perform. A disillusioned learner needs real-world exposure. And then when you're proficient, you become capable but cautious performer. Someone who's a capable but cautious performer still has an attitude which is kind of self-critical. They're cautious, maybe insecure, tentative. But these people are capable. They contribute to the result. And somebody that's a capable but cautious performer needs unhindered practice, and they also need to understand the big picture of things. Last step, when you're an expert, you are what I call a self-reliant achiever. Okay? A self-reliant achiever is a person who's justifiably confident, right? Because they know things. They're very inspired, and they tend to inspire others. Self-assured, work autonomously. They're pretty accomplished people, right? Self-reliant, self-directed. Don't really need to tell them what to do. And experts need to expand their knowledge and experience. So why is this important? Well, I would say that somebody that's willing to be here on a Saturday to become better at what they do is probably an expert. Because you want to grow, you want to become better. And in order to expand that knowledge, you need to look for things you don't already know. You need to talk to other experts, hear their stories, and share your own. This is how we grow and become better at what we do. But it's not only learning, it's also about what we learn, right? Our learning should be relevant to the context around us. It's relevant to the world we live in. And software development, our world moves incredibly fast. It's almost impossible to predict what the next big thing will be. And you can hardly look more than 6 months in advance to see what's coming. Now, in recent years, this world has been moving really quickly. And a lot has happened to software development. The software development role is not what it used to be. My friends, we are no longer considered code monkeys. We are an important part of our businesses. It's not something that was forced upon us. This is something we actually fought for. There's been a lot of movements fighting for this. One of the movements is the Agile movement. We demanded to work closer with our customers. And we wanted to have more autonomy in our work. But superheroes, with great power comes great responsibility. Since we are no longer viewed as code monkeys, we're expected to work differently. We're expected to do other things in our job. But hell, come on. We wanted to work differently, right? We asked for this. Now, if we think about the 12 principles of Agile development, they mention things such as build projects around motivated individuals, give them the environment and support they need, and trust them to get the job done. That's the autonomy. Working software is a primary measure of progress. Or continuous attention to technical excellence and good design enhances agility. Another one of my favorite is the best architectures, requirements, and designs emerge from self-organizing teams. This changing world is reflected in this year's theme for Leetspeak. More than code, less than unicorns. What do we mean by that? What we mean by that is that software is built by more than code. But it's pretty far from magic. It's not a unicorn. It does actually exist. In today's world, building great software requires skills other than just coding. Many of these skills are technical, but technically they're not writing code. There are so many other activities involved in making awesome software. If we want to have faster deploys, automated builds, automated testing, and all the other stuff we're talking about, somebody needs to set that up. Somebody needs to build those things, right? So in order to be more agile, we have to expand our view of what good software craftsmen do. We often talk about cross-functional teams that are mature enough to solve their own problems. So I don't mean you need to know everything, but you need to know enough to communicate with people what you need to deliver great software. And in order to have these cross-functional teams, these are the skills we need to learn and become better at. The skills that are around the actual coding. Today, we will learn about things as security, architecture, DevOps, testing. And of course, we threw in a session on everybody's childhood dream of becoming a game developer because, why not? My hopes and expectations for today is that your head feels totally steamrolled when you leave here. It should be mushy with knowledge. You should be inspired and feel great about yourself. if you hear something today which you don't quite understand and you need to go home and think about it, means this conference has been a great success. And this year, I myself have done a lot of learning. One of the things I've learned is that making a conference is really not that easy. I always joke that Peter von Laakov, that was responsible for doing these conferences the previous 2 years, has lost hair or gained a couple of gray hairs. That was a funny joke back then. It's not that funny anymore. Because I now understand why. But it's great fun putting this together. It's so fun, and just seeing everybody coming in and seeing it all unfold is such a joy. And there's been many people involved. It's been a team effort. There's been a lot of people working throughout the year to pulling this all together. And I want to take some time to thank all of them. Of course, I want to thank Peter, who's been great support and told me all of the things we've learned from previous years and also supported me throughout the whole process. Thank you, Peter. I want to thank all the crew who've been working throughout the year to pull this together, and especially this last week and yesterday. They're wearing these crew t-shirts and crew badges, so if you see them around here, make sure to send them some love, give them a hug. And of course, if you have questions, you can ask them as well. The program committee for getting the speakers here, it's a hard job to get the right speakers for a conference. And they've made it awesome. And they made it awesome. And I want to thank all the speakers for coming out here and making this possible. We have a couple of supporters that have been supporting Leetspeak. I want to thank Microsoft for supporting this initiative, supporting the community. I also want to thank all our friends in the user groups and open source community who've helped spread the word of Leetspeak. These are the people, the user groups and open source projects that inspire us throughout the year and keep knowledge flowing, even if there's no conference going on. So thank you guys for being really awesome. And last but not least, I want to thank all of you guys. It's not a conference without attendees. And you crazy people came here on a Saturday morning to learn stuff. I think that deserves an applaud. Come on. Yeah. But you know what? This session, the learning does not only happen inside of the sessions. It's happening all over. It's in the lines to the bathroom, over a cup of coffee in the conference hall, over food, all the discussions, and even in the online world, on Twitter and Facebook, and on you guys' blogs. That's all you guys. That's what you create. It's awesome. It's continuous knowledge sharing throughout the whole year. And once we're done with the conference here, it doesn't end. We have an after party where we'll continue the knowledge sharing over a couple of cold beers. And that's going to be at John Scott's Pub. I want to thank John Scott's for helping us have a good location for the after party. Before I bring out our first speaker, I want to say one more thing, and that's we have a little voting system. Most of you are probably familiar with it, but by both of the exits up there, there's bowls, and there's small notes you can put in the bowl. Put a green one if you thought the session was awesome, a yellow one if you thought it was okay, and a red one if it's meh. This is really important for us as organizers to see, what you guys appreciate and don't appreciate, and also for the speakers to know how their sessions went. So please remember to vote as you exit. I'm not going to take up any more time, so please welcome our first speaker, Barry Dorrance, to the stage.